I blew my E8 funded account, but hear me out before you start hate commenting. Let me explain. In today's video, I'm going to go through how I just passed an E8 account in 20 minutes, 21 minutes to be precise, since I actually got the email with the login. I'm going to go through that, going to go through the dashboard, going to go through the trades. The one trade I actually took to pass the E8 challenge, the 250k challenge, and then we're going to go through what happened with the previous account. It wasn't that I was trading, risking 10% in a position. It was just something that happened with the copier, which meant I lost the account. But we're going to get into that later in the video. Recently, I uploaded a video passing the 200k FTMO challenge within an hour. So we passed that within an hour and 23 minutes or something. And the quickest I'd ever passed one before that was within, I think, just 1 hour. Then I was trading EU on a 100k or 200k FTMO. It might have been 200k. But today's video, I actually lost that E8 account last week, I think. But I was like, I'm just going to get it back. And the thing is, if you lose a funded account, it's not the end of the world. Within the 2 weeks, I think, 2.5 weeks, I was actually trading with E8. I made around $28,000, and I got paid out after splits and everything and conversions, I think around £21,000 in 2 weeks of trading, plus my refund. So it's like, it's not really the end of the world, but it is very annoying when I explain what happened and how I could have got another 20k if this one thing didn't happen, but we'll get into that later. So if we're actually on the charts here now, I actually traded GU again. If you guys are watching the channel recently, you'll know that I pretty much only trade GU. Gold is a nice pair, but it just hasn't really been moving how I kind of want it to. Yesterday, you'll see in the day in life that came out a few days ago, I was looking to short from this area, and I said that when it's down here, price came up, actually dropped from that level, dropped around 60 plus pips. However, it happened in London session, and I don't trade gold in London session, so I pretty much didn't get into this trade. Price went up anyway during New York, and we had that crazy spike at 3 o'clock, which was, that's mental. Big moves. But that's kind of why I haven't been trading gold. We kind of get all this consolidation and then just one big crazy move like this, where with my own strategy, you can't really get in on these moves. And because of my risk reward, I don't even be targeting 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I'd rather just trade GU, which has, these nice moves pretty much every single day. Obviously, there's going to be days where it's a bit slower, but sometimes it just happens every single day. On that 200k account, I actually took this trade here. This 1 to 5, but I think it was actually a 1 to 4, but I risked 2.5%. And everyone in the comments, everyone on my Twitter was saying, why are you buying? We've got a clear bearish trend. Look where price reversed from. 500 pips from where I bought. The area which was a risky entry. And the way I look at this is people just don't know how to trade. If people knew how to trade, then they wouldn't be commenting on other people's trading. They wouldn't be saying you're buying in a risky area. It might be risky for your strategy, but it's not risky for my strategy. I know exactly what's going to happen. I've backtested this months and months and months and months and months of previous price action. I know what's going to happen. Obviously, you can never be 100% sure. It's obviously you could lose, but I have an 82% win rate, so high chance I'm going to win. What I did was I got the E8 details. I got an email from E8 at 2:51 p.m. saying E8 account created, and that was with the login details. And then I just looked at the charts. So if we go down on a time frame so you can actually see it better, I'm not gonna lie, I did just go on the 1 minute just to pass it, and this was the trade I actually took. So I'll show you a screenshot of the email. We got it here. So when price tapped into this area, I quickly logged in, price wicked down, I got an entry in here with 50 lots on GU. So if you look on here, you guys can see open date 252. Where is it? 50 lots at this price, so 898, might be a slight off. I actually got a better entry than this. 898 down there, 4 pip stop loss, and then we actually had a 1 to 8, so this is a bit off because I got a better entry. There we go. So 4 pip stop loss in the trade, 50 lots, risking 1%, of course, risking 1%. as always. It's meant to be 5 pip stop loss, but because we entered a bit lower, we were only risking, I think, maybe just under 2k, or maybe just exactly 2k. I'm not really sure. That does sound about right, because we obviously had 1 pip less on the stop loss. You have obviously the higher commission on E8, so it would have been like almost $300. So then what we did was we just held the trade. My original TP was actually just going to be here, but I was like, what am I doing? So I went on a 15-minute and I was like, okay, we can target up at this area here, which also kind of lined up with the 1 to 8, which is all I needed to pass the challenge. On E8, you only need 1 to 8, which obviously FTMO you need 1 to 10, which, as you see, would have been smashed anyway. Would have made like a 1 to 11 if it hit my top zone, but the bottom zone probably, which I would have targeted if I didn't have to make 8%, would have been this for a 1 to 10. But we only targeted a 1 to 8 just because that's all we needed. There we go. And then this trade obviously just went to the target. And as you see, we passed with 100% win rate, 1 trade, 8% profit. And as you see, we only had $700 in drawdown, which is very, very nice. I'm pretty sure it was higher than that, but it might have just been on my other account because obviously I trade the same trades on multiple accounts. So if you see me make profit on one account, it's most likely I'm taking the same trades on either a personal account, my other funded accounts, my other challenge accounts, multiple at the same time. Because if I'm in a trade, it's got this perfect plan, perfect risk management and everything. Why would I not take it? Why would I just take it on one account and just make 8% on one account, where I could just make the full amount on 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts? I've actually just maxed out my social trader tools with 10 accounts, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so that was the trade, and very, very nice. If you look on the 15, it's a bit of a random place to buy, but it is part of my strategy, of course, which means you can't comment on it because you don't know how I trade. But yeah, if we just play price on now, you can see that we did continue this bearish trend. And now we just got consolidation. We have CPI today, which is probably why markets are consolidating rather annoyingly. Usually like trading GU during London session, but it's not really giving me any entries for my personal strategy. Now we're going to get onto how I actually failed my other E8 funded account. And I'd like to say this isn't my fault. So if you have seen my trade copy video, I link my accounts. So I'll have 3-4 accounts linked to one account copying across. And there's positives to this, but there's also negatives. The negatives are prop firms have different rules. In my head, I just assumed that all the prop firms would have had the same drawdown rule, but obviously that's not the case. And also, they're based in different locations around the world, so the time zones are different. So when the daily rollover hits, it's not the same for each company. And with this E8 and my other accounts, I was actually in a GU short position, if I'm right. I was in a GU short, and I was up around $8,000 on this trade. And because they base it on the highest equity of your account at that rollover point is then your next day's drawdown. I didn't realize this because I'm trading on my personal account. It's going fine. My personal account, I made 8% on that trade, but price went down to break even at one point. I think it was even in drawdown, and they count this as from the highest equity point. So let's say the account was I think it was at like 270 or something, 270,000. It went up to 279,000, then back to 269,000. That counts as $9,000 drawdown. The account from the balance is only 1k drawdown, but they counted from the equity drawdown of 9k. And then I think I closed that trade either break even or for a loss, and then I took another loss. So that day I only actually took like 2% in losses, but it counted as I think 5% in drawdown, because we had that profit, then went down, hit the drawdown limit for some reason. It's very, very annoying. You could say it's bad on my part because I didn't read the rules, I didn't check it properly, but I just assumed. I looked at the closed trades, I was only down 6k. I'm allowed 14.5k in drawdown, so I was like, okay, that's fine, I'll just continue trading. So with E8, it's usually instant. When you pass a challenge, it just disables your account instantly, so you can't even log into the account on MT4. Like yesterday, it kind of glitched when I hit TP, so pretty much my MT4 just stopped, and then it just said account disabled, and then it passed, obviously because price just flew past my TP because I was trading on like the lower time frames anyway. But on his funded account, it didn't disable. So obviously I'd hit the daily loss limit, but it hadn't disabled the account, which was obviously quite confusing. And then I entered a gold long position, and this was fine. I think I had like 5 lots or 10 lots or something, because I was in my head, I was like, okay, I got another 7k in drawdown. And that trade went into profit. I was actually walking to the barber shop. I remember this. And I looked at my phone and it said account disabled. And I was like, what is going on here? So then when I got home, I looked and it said, you've reached the daily loss limit. And then I checked my gold trade, account was disabled. This gold trade would have made me $25,000. So the next week I would have been paid out another $25,000, which is obviously very, very annoying, because on actual drawdown, I was only down 2% of the 10% overall, or the 5% daily. But because they have the stupid rule where it's based on the daily rollover, that's your max equity, that counts as your drawdown. Even though the account was, the active trades were up 8k, then went to 0, that means your drawdown was 8k on that trade, which I just think is very, very stupid. But you know, it's what I signed up for in the rules, and it doesn't really matter. But the good thing is, the good thing about prop firms, I made 20,000 plus from those 2 weeks trading, got a refund of 980 or whatever it was, and then I just passed another one within 20 minutes. So, you know, I waited a little bit. I was like, do I just take it again? Do I want to really use that drawdown rule on the copier? Same thing could happen again. But I was like, you know what, I might as well. It's only 8% I have to make, and then 5%, which I can do relatively easily. And they don't have the minimum 10 days. You know, my FTMO, when you're doing those, you have to do minimum 10 days trading. It's quite long. These ones, you can pretty much pass it in a day. You could pass it in 2 days relatively easily if you know what you're doing. Obviously, don't rush it, because that's the recipe for disaster. But you can definitely pass it in a short time period. So guys, if you are looking to take an E8 account, or any prop firm, to be honest, check the rules properly. Check the rules, and if you're using on a copier, just be mindful of your drawdown. Simple as that. If you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see more prop firm videos, maybe challenges, reviews, payouts or anything, probably less of the payouts because I don't really want to show how much I make. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.